And then as we're saying our goodbyes, I'm going to be hugging Adams probably, and I'm going to say, I'm going to whisper in his ear, parting is also, depending on who you ask, we went to the moon. All right, welcome to Season 2 of the 9B podcast. You might be thinking, 9B, that's weird. It's beer, and it's bourbon and it's a
Boulevardier,
with three bombastic, bloviating bros who are discussing business and BS in Bryan, Texas. There's your 9B. This episode is titled 250 for the 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation. Our nation, 'tis of thee, right? Mm-hmm. This is a thought experiment that comes out of many conversations here at the agency about a little dream, a dream in my heart that I've had for years, which is I just love the element of total shock and surprise. And whenever I watch people, I like watching people try to come up to speed with something. Like if I'm in on the joke or if I'm in on the I know a thing that they don't know,
like when you show up in shorts, like people don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do.
Freak out.
It's never happened. So I just like watching people's brains like that. It just start to like grind and melt down. I just think it's so fun. And so one of the things that I know would be so much fun is if you could go back in time with something that you have from the present day and give it to somebody, a historical figure, and just watch them like all their wires melt.
Like fentanyl.
Oh, yeah. Well, that melts wires in different ways.
Yeah. Like, so for instance, one of these things is I think it would be so much fun to drive a 2026 version F-250 truck into the River Rouge plant in Ford, in Michigan, in the year 1914.
Okay.
And just drive in the truck, set the keys down, and walk away, and let Henry Ford and his engineer team just go, what? And they would see the Ford, they would see the blue oval, and just be thinking, this is... And they would be mystified at this could pull a house over. Like it could do. There's so much horsepower in this, and climate. Like I can be cold even though it's hot, and hot when it's cold, and I can hear a symphony in my truck. Like I just think the layers, not just the mechanical performance, but
you're more of a Tremor guy. You love that Tremor.
Oh man. That's a fun truck.
Because what's the big selling point?
250s, I would do that. I would be fine. The Tremor?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many selling points, but it's a toy. I mean, it's fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the Raptor's really the toy. It's kind
I think
of a
we're kind of getting away from my point. So if I could just bring it back around.
It back.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah. Is
not a Ford guy.
That
true. Volvo guy.
They would have loved. I think that they would just love to go. This is where we're going. Right, to see, it would be like a guy today getting to see his great grandchildren and have that conversation. So,
but I thought you wanted to bring the founding fathers forward, not us go back to them.
It kind of the thought experiment plays off of that.
It works both ways.
So this all started years ago in the shop when I said it would be fun to go back to Thomas Jefferson and say, Mr. Jefferson, hold out your hand here. And then to place in his palm a Sour Patch gummy worm. And then say, eat it. It's food. Because he's not going to know this is food. He's not going to know this is food. And then he's going to eat it, and it's going to melt his mind because it's so the flavors are so artificial that he wouldn't have a context or a grid to know. He would never have tasted
these. He would be like
these.
a baby. Like a grown man baby.
Yeah, and even just chewing the gummy worm would have been a very bizarre moment for him. So I just think that would be fun. That's been the thought experiment for years, and we always laugh about that.
And then hand him a blue raspberry slushie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To wash it down.
Yeah.
So
Or just like some pure red dye 40.
the
Just
thought
to see what
experiment.
happens.
RFK would not
No.
allow that.
And by the way, this is going to not be a heavy business episode. This is file under just
It's
fun.
we're on a holiday.
That's
fine.
right.
It's
That's
fine.
right. And it's this, all right? Here's the setup. We bring Jefferson, Adams, Washington, Hamilton, Madison, and Franklin, the big six. We bring them to present day
All right.
America, 250 years after its founding.
We Bill and Ted's them.
Yes, we Bill and Ted's them. And they show up, and we have them for a week in the United States. And they can go coast to coast. We can go show them anything. And so that's the thought experiment. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of break it down into some parts here. The first part is them just experiencing what the actual geography of the United States eventually becomes. They didn't know that. This is colonial
Welcome to Texas.
period.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So there's
It's
like
hot.
that component of geography and everyday activities. They're going to be seeing Americans move around and do things. And then the entertainment and leisure aspect. So I kind of want to talk through that first. The geography, the everyday life experiences, and then what entertainment and leisure is like in this country.
Well, they already had an inkling that it was an enormous continent. I mean,
but it's pre-Lewis and Clark.
If memory serves, that was a kind of undercurrent of reasons why the colonies, it was not fitting for them to remain as part of the mother country because they were such an enormous space. They were so much more geographically dominant, large than England. That they were like destined to. It would have been it was like natural law would suggest that this should be its own country, its own nation. But I still think
There's some
actually
people who would still agree with that.
yeah.
You know, I'm just saying. Succeed.
But to your
Succeed.
point, actually, like taking them on a road trip from South Carolina to California,
Unreal.
or just up from the Gulf of America, you see what I did there,
Mm-hmm.
to the Canadian border,
Name, you called it by its real name.
right?
Yeah. And then
Would be incredible.
yeah.
Even though they would be in a motor vehicle flying at ungodly speeds
Sure.
to their experience.
Air travel.
Air travel would be hard to fathom.
Star Cineplex.
Okay, wait. Hold on.
We're-
Slow down.
Yeah. So the geography, I just think that would be fun. Just to, Nebraska. Okay, Nebraska versus Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Right, and they would have known the Alleghenies, right? The Appalachians,
Sure.
but
Not the Rockies.
The Rockies.
No. Right. Yeah. And San Francisco and all of that. I just think that would have been fun.
The
It would be
Grand
fun.
Canyon.
Definitely they have to see the Grand Canyon. Definitely.
Okay, but Star Cinema is amazing as like a country.
Okay, elaborate. What do you?
I'm just playing. I mean, that's in the tech space, but there's a part of me that thinks, like, I don't know where y'all went, but I immediately was like a little bit embarrassed about something of the moral fabric of America as compared to when they were alive.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
We're going
I
to get
know,
into it.
I know. I'm just saying. That's like my immediate thought.
We're trying to focus on the positives here,
Yeah.
TK.
We'll
okay?
we'll get there, but it's just like before you even get into a conversation about would they double thumbs up what America has become, I think we should save that even to the end.
Oh, for sure.
Just the breadth and the magnitude and the expanse, and seeing Atlanta during rush hour, and I just think that would be
Miami during spring break. No,
sure
immediately I go back into the moral fabric.
to the moral
of
fabric.
America,
I
yeah.
know. Okay, so
But also Florida. I mean, they weren't familiar with Florida very well. That was a Spanish colony, I believe, and was considered all swampland. Now we've made it into this massive destination that's
Well, and the everyday activity part of it, of seeing humans move around. They're not moving by horse and drawn carriage. They're in cars. But every time they would see a human, they're watching a human who either has a beverage in their hand or something that they're holding and moving their fingers around on. And we're not into the technology segment yet, but we are consuming, just consuming.
I think
hear what you're
even
saying.
here though, in these types of things to consider, I think they would have been felt vindicated because they would be experiencing the vastness, the grandeur of the geographic space that the colonies inhabited, and they knew, like I said, that
That
it
was
was
the
a large.
beginning.
This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Because they negotiated in the treaty all the way to the Mississippi River from the British. So they knew how large this was, and they would see all these examples of there's a lot to be proud of here. There's a lot to be impressed with, and there's a lot to kind of not be so excited about. There's a lot to be disappointed about. And so that's why we needed to create a system that assumed men are fallible, human nature is unchanging. We need power checking power. We need this system that divides up power to avoid tyranny, but we also need to protect and respect the dignity and the rights that are God-given to man. And this is, it's shocking to the system, but yeah, it kind of fits with what we know about how human beings are.
Yeah. This is the nation grown up that we put provisions in place so that it could expand to its greatest limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's that.
I got nothing to add.
Okay. Everyday activities, entertainment, and leisure.
This is what happens when you put two historians on a podcast on the semi-cinquentennial. Did I get it right? I got it pretty close. I think you guys are swimming in the history of this moment, which I think is fantastic. I mean, it's hard to live in this present moment, I think, without understanding the context of the past. And so I think there is a lot of value in people who have studied and know what it's doing, where we come from. Nothing exists in a vacuum.
No.
Okay. So
Well said.
that's the geography. That is the everyday activities.
Kind of the physical setting, if you will.
Right.
Can we get to the Star Cinema
Yeah.
Flex yet?
Okay.
Can we get to Miami Beach?
Can we get to Miami Beach? What about the Permian Basin? I mean, talking geography. I mean, that's the mass of oil production. They would immediately go into the
You want to
economics
take
of it.
these guys to Odessa, Texas?
I would love for them to understand what is happening in Odessa, Texas.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, the
Well, that gets us
Strait of
actually.
Hormuz situation.
That actually gets us into part 2. So let's transition into part 2,
Go
which
on.
is diplomacy and our economy. Okay. And the arts and sciences and technology and the state of industry. That's what part 2 is about.
Interstar Cinema Complex.
Yeah.
Plex.
So enter Odessa, Texas, and the oil industry, our place in the world. They're going to not understand anything about the U.S. Civil War. They're not going to understand anything about Vietnam and the expansion, and they're not going to understand even like the Roosevelt Western, the doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine. They're not going to understand a bunch of things about how we think about how we are positioned on the globe. So it may shock them to know that we have troops currently in the Strait of Hormuz. Like, what are we doing? Is this about the Barbary pirates, are they flaring up again? Right? They're not going to have a grid for it. So I just think that's a fun thing to on these long flights. We're going to have some time that you can be like, okay, then this happened, and then this happened, and then World War I and World War II. They're
I
And then Taylor
think
Swift and Sabrina Carpenter and feminism and liberation and now rights to vote. And yeah.
I think that Jefferson would be chagrined, maybe, that his universalist vision in the Declaration of all men are created equal, they're endowed by God with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. They belong to all men, he said, all humans.
mm-hmm.
He also wanted a small government. He wanted a government that was a federal government, a national government that was not powerful. That those universalist rights
That has become quite powerful.
have in many ways driven, inspired, explained, excused, however you want to look at it, American interventionism throughout the world for most of this 250-year experiment that we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a somewhat difficult pill for him to swallow.
The idea that we would throw our weight around globally, that we would take the prosperity of a country that everybody fought and bled for, and then we would try and maneuver ourselves around on the planet to our own advantage. That's what you're kind of talking about?
Yeah, and things like you think about Wilson with the 14 points and his inspiration to create the League of Nations, the forerunner to the United Nations of today. There's a direct line to the universalist rights of the Declaration, that free self-determination, right?
Mm-hmm.
That people are not supposed to live under tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
That's inspired Wilson to make the United States a global player and to create a supranational body to try to govern the affairs of nation states. And I don't think that Jefferson would have been
Okay with
for
that?
that.
No.
Certainly Washington would have looked at that with a jaundiced eye, right?
Yeah.
The man who in his farewell address said, avoid
Don't do that.
entangling alliances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And yet here we are. And it's not so much that we want to have control over what happens in Lebanon as much as we have economic interest over there. And we don't want that to be jeopardized. So that would be a hard thing to explain to these guys, I'm sure. But also going, hey, all this jet fuel came from somewhere.
Odessa, Texas.
Odessa. That's right. So
In the future.
diplomacy and our economy. And I think also he would be surprised at what is the nature of our work. Why are there so many people who are walking around here and sitting in coffee shops at 3 p.m? Don't you have a farm to tend? Aren't you making your clothing, your food? No? Okay. You don't have to do that. Now we're having to explain what a service-based economy is.
Come with me to the Star Cinema Complex.
Yeah.
Plex. Complex or Plex? But come with me to the
Is it
movies.
Cineplex? I think it's Cineplex.
Cineplex?
Is it
I don't know.
Cineplex? That's
no idea.
that's got
But-
some double entendre there.
But it does. But also, entertainment is one of our major exports.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, so to also say it's 2026 and we are the global leaders in technology. So now we're going to have to start talking about technology. And what is the internet and what happens when knowledge is ubiquitous. And so I can access anything that I want to know at a moment's notice.
Access to knowledge is cheap.
So cheap. And I think that would have blown their mind, because this is, even as recently as Abraham Lincoln is traveling 7 miles because he has a neighbor who has a book.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could get my hands on one more book, that would be amazing. And now we're throwing books away at the back of half-price books shops because nobody has the ability to actually move. I mean, the demand for books has fallen through the floor because the information is everywhere, always, at any time. Why would I keep that volume?
Yeah.
I mean, I see your smirk like this is a sad state of affairs, but it's real. That is the case. So I think that would be very hard to explain to them.
My mind went in a kind of strange direction. I was thinking about so digital technology, digital forms of information, fan fiction, right? So where somebody who's a fan of a property, they write their own version of that
Right.
that story, and how that would have maybe resonated with Jefferson, who was famous for slicing out the verses of the Bible that he didn't agree with or he thought were fantastical, and he made his own fan fiction version of the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Essentially, that's what we're doing here, is making fan fiction of what would they say.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
That's right. So they're gonna have a headache. We're gonna have to give them Advil on the flight, and maybe
It'd be a fire hose. It'd be
and maybe
terrible.
they could chase that back with something. So that is going to be a hard thing for them to get their head around. All right, the third section.
But
yeah.
to that point, but sleep, food and drink,
A memory foam pillow.
conviviality,
Yeah.
human interaction, all of that would be familiar to them. There's still
I think they would have loved it. That's my point. Is as much as we would love to have that exchange, you would definitely take a week off work if you could do that. I think that they would have been loving to have seen this is the fruit of all of the sacrifice of these guys who died face down in the snow in Valley Forge, or this is what you've done. So I'm trying to hold off them giving assessment as to what we've done with it. But I think they would have been loving it. I think they would be peppering us with questions quickly that we would have to go, sorry, and then we would Google it. Right, we would have to come up with the answer because we won't know it.
You think about the long hours they spent in the evenings at the pub or on their front porch without TV, without an iPhone, without all they have is a book. And we're talking about, you think about the pace of communication around here. We're peppered.
Dizzying.
I think they would have a hard time coming back up to speed. I think our kids, our children right now, are on the other side of that, where we're having to pull them back to have a human interaction. I think these guys would be bewildered by, why don't you have a human interaction the way that they understood it?
I think maybe on one of these long flights between cities, I could imagine a conversation where they don't understand why, if you have access to all the information in the world, that our children play 3 sports.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily see them going, they play year-round sports for all of their adolescent years. That's how they're using their time. Where is that ingrained industry? Where is that drive to build more?
They had to build a country.
Yes.
Country's already built.
Right. So now
the game is ours to lose.
Right. Okay, so that gets us kind of to the third section, which is religion, our ethnic subcultures, the state of the family, politics, state of the nation's soul, our health as a people, and finally, the last question. I'll hold the last
So
question.
basically, like save the really easy stuff for the
Yeah.
section 3.
Yeah.
Star Cinemaplex. Have we
Okay.
been to the movies
South
lately?
Padre.
Again,
South Padre on spring break.
you had some points in the lead up to this
Michelob
about
Ultra.
religion, about what they thought of the religious and cultural sub-communities,
Oh,
right, in the colonies, and then what they were establishing and what it's become. Do you remember
Yeah,
what you were saying about that?
I was kind of speculating, riffing. I'm not a colonial historian. I'm not really an early republic historian. But I think that they would have been not dismayed to see that that the entire world is in the United States. That people from every corner of the globe are not just visitors here; they're American citizens. I don't think that they would be dismayed by that.
They would notice if they went to Houston. They would notice that.
They would.
Yes.
They would certainly notice. But I think what they might, if they got a chance to travel across the country, I think what they might find that would give them pause is to see so much cultural intermingling. I think that, and again,
It's kind of a diffusion.
I'm not an expert on this point at all, but there was this view of associational culture where you got to stay with and choose to associate with the people that you wanted to that were like you. And there's a little bit of a kind of a federalist sense to that, right? So just how the states are kind of these
They're distinctive.
cohesive, distinctive units,
Right.
but they make up this larger union. It's great to have the entire, many different parts of Europe already in the colonies, because that was already a reality when they decided on independence.
Although
but-
the percentages are probably way off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But, Pennsylvania Dutch should, and rightly so, largely keep to themselves because that's how they maintain their integrity as a cultural unit.
Right.
And so should Irish, and so should Scots, and so should blacks, and so and on and on and on. And the racial issue and slavery, that's a whole nother
Right.
can of worms. But I think that might be a little bit of that might give them pause and make them think that might be part of why the social fabric of the country around its core values is frayed, because socially you have not stuck to this federal notion of social composition that maybe we took for granted. Maybe they took it for granted.
They took for granted that the Poles would stay among the Poles.
Yeah.
And the Hessians would stay Hessian.
That's what I'm
And,
sort of positing.
Okay. Yeah, I think they would be shocked.
That might be like a question that, because I don't think we should discount that they would throw questions at us that would come to us as, wow, I hadn't even considered looking at this problem from that perspective. 'Cause these are intelligent men. These are well-read, well-rounded men.
Absolutely.
And so that might be something where, wow, I hadn't considered it from that perspective before.
And without pushing this into something controversial or that you would see on X, just the idea of you've imported hordes of people from all over the planet into our country 250 years later. Are they integrating and truly becoming American in their sensibilities? Are they staying together in small pockets, or are they starting to try and influence and push and utilize whatever force and power they have to alter what it even means to be American? Like, if you bring them in, they don't integrate, but they actually want to expand and push power around. I don't think that they were thinking well enough ahead to go, are there mechanisms in place to prevent that? So, we're in Texas, and we have mosques being built in Texas. We have Hindu temples being built in Texas. And it's one thing to say we appreciate the contribution of the world, but kind of a counterpoint to yours is there's not total integration by all these communities. And that would be something that would be fascinating to talk about on that flight.
Yeah. They would maybe still be fighting the fight of Protestant versus Catholic in a large sense of it.
Yeah,
Probably so.
that would feel a lot more
Yeah.
intense.
But without pontificating too much.
How ironic.
Nice.
It was served
It
up.
was served. It was there. It kind of begs the question of what is American anymore? When you look at the world, the global economy, I mean, the juggernauts are brands. The juggernauts are corporations. And so it kind of divides the world into, we don't really have an American sense of identity. We really have like a brand affinity. We have a brand,
Regional football teams.
regional football teams. I love being Texan.
Mm-hmm.
I love being American. But really, maybe I have brand loyalty more than I have like national loyalty.
But I think we have this interesting phenomenon going on, and this very moment that we're recording, the World Cup is being played here in the United States, and maybe it's just my internet, maybe it's just my feed.
Go America.
Your internet.
But my shorts on YouTube are being taken over by these clips of people coming to the United States for the World Cup
And being
just
wowed.
effusive about how amazing this country is, loving how Americans treat them, how they're so friendly.
Okay, but to my point,
How much of that is true, I don't know.
what I'm seeing, or at least my feeds are, how wowed they are by Costco, how wowed they are by a wide highway. Thank you, Knife River.
And Chick-fil-A.
Right, and
And
that's where I was
Chick-fil-A.
going. Like, to be American or America is defined in their
By
mind
consumption.
less by its political ideals,
consumption.
less by its political structure, and more by these notes of consumption
And brands.
and bigness.
Mm-hmm.
So much about bigness, the portion sizes, the
I'll just
the
listen.
sizes
I'll go
of
on record
of
and
roads.
say, no matter what it is, it's pretty awesome to be American. I'm just going to go on record, say I love being Texan.
There was one video was an Australian lady who was like stopped in her tracks because she was watching the transport of a wing for a wind generating turbine. The girth of that was
It's
just
awesome.
stunning.
Massive. That's Texan. Big stuff. Send us your
Okay.
Australians. We're in.
State of the family, politics, the state of our national soul and our health.
It's going
Like,
great.
if we showed them Twitter,
It's good.
what does that do to them?
My
right?
algorithm or yours?
Either one.
Right.
Either one. Explaining what an algorithm is going to take a little time.
Yeah.
Okay. They're probably going to be really shocked. One, they're going to be thinking, "Why are your families so small?" Probably. With all of this, you can feed them all. You can house them all. Look at all this prosperity, and your family size is shrinking. What is that? So that's one issue.
Why married so late?
And also,
High divorce rate would be astonishing to them.
And just how religious are we, or are we not at all? And I just think that would be
where's
really
all your
shocking.
farmland?
Yeah. Yeah. BlackRock owns it.
Have they seen a combine?
Yeah, that's going to
my
shock
goodness.
shock them.
One farmer for what used to take 20 farmers.
Okay, so
Or
that
the
doesn't.
quarries, the stone quarries, with
Yeah.
all of their massive machinery that they use to harvest that rock.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. Okay, so the state of our politics, basically being able to explain to them roughly, particularly in the last 50 years, of it's not just that the two-party system is still going and entrenched, but like how the parties go through these transformations where they keep pushing to the perimeter on the polarization of the country, the way that even small local communities can have such schisms and fractions that just happen through like this splintering effect of our national consciousness. There's like a giant, really there are two Americas, right? Here we are in 2026, and it does feel like there's two Americas. How would they make sense of that?
Well, I think they would not be so surprised, because they would have lived through a revolutionary experience where most historians say that about 20% of the colonial population were Tories. They were loyalists.
Right.
So the American Revolution was, in a sense, a civil war, even though we don't often imagine it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have known
They would have had a framework.
political faction. They would have known political violence.
Yeah.
I think they might be disappointed that the system that they created is in a period where that seems to be on the rise, or more unresolved, or something that marks how we resolve political differences. But also remember, Jefferson said that every generation or so, the tree of liberty needed to be re-watered,
Refreshed
with the blood of
patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dang.
So he might say, "Yeah, this is
The nature of
this
it.
is how it goes. This is what human communities do that want to be kind of founded on liberty."
Mm-hmm.
So that's a first run at that question.
I think they would have, in some ways, been disappointed, but also probably pretty understanding. I mean, to your point, they lived in a very topsy-turvy kind of space, and I don't think that they had expectation that it was going to resolve. I mean, human nature being what it is, this is never going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I think is beautiful about the Constitution is that it makes allowance for that. And even to that book's title, it became anti-fragile. It builds on itself with every conflict. So,
Yeah, assuming each generation raises something of a capable next generation.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think they would be concerned about the lack of what they would see as the lack of civic virtue, the lack of selfless service, the lack of honor in how political discussions, political debates are conducted. I think that would concern them.
Like, oh my gosh, why is that woman wearing what she's wearing? Right?
Yeah,
Like-
that's what's hard is like you pull them into present day, and
Yeah.
who knows who they would be.
Right. Or how they would react to the stuff that we just are like, yeah, those are yoga pants, guy.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you.
Who's that golfer that goes barefoot and the old guy always is smoking a cigarette?
Yeah.
What's his
I
name?
can't remember.
I think that's Benjamin Franklin.
John Daly.
John Daly.
Yeah.
I think
Benjamin Franklin is John Daly?
Yeah, totally. In modern
He
day,
would be all for the yoga pants.
He'd be like, yeah,
basically.
great. You know?
Okay. Finally, the question would be, what do you think they'd say about our national prospects for the next 250 years? After they've been with us for a week, those 6 founders are looking at us.
I can't even.
Just
I
try
have to tap out. I mean, the speculation on that is insane. I hope we are still present.
Well, I think what's interesting about that question is you're seeing what all of their presuppositions. They're encountering America 2026. Do you think that they're double thumbs up? Like, holy crap, guys, you did it. You're doing the thing that we hoped you would do. This has exceeded our wildest imaginations. And if you guys keep going this way, it's going to get better and better? Or are they looking at components of our world and going, oh my gosh, like, oh, I can't believe you're still on your feet right now?
We had a friend that told us about there's in any new technology adoption, there is a trough of disappointment. I speculate that from where they thought we would be, we might be in the trough of disappointment for them.
Even though we're blowing their mind minute by minute for a week.
I mean,
they're still
amazing. Yes, but
they had a Whataburger. They had a Whataburger with spicy ketchup.
They had an In-N-Out with the animal style. They had the whole thing. They had the gummy bears and the gummy worms. They went to the Star Cinemaplex.
They drove in a Cybertruck.
Yeah, amazing. The Raptor, everything. But where they thought, how they thought of Shangri-La, we're not there. We have a lot more stuff. But the important stuff is kind of to the wayside. Smaller families, higher divorce rates.
The decadence,
higher, globalization and all of it.
I think
they saw a transgender person.
We
didn't even talk about that. They went into a Starbucks and they were served by a transgender person. That's going to be an odd conversation on the way out of there.
It's going to be awkward. And I recognize that I'm the happy pessimist here, but I look at it and I'm like, ooh, we're off. We're off from where they hoped we would be.
So I think that they would look at this and say, our objective was not to perfect mankind. Our objective was to create a government that could
hold it,
that would allow humanity in its foibles, in its unchanging nature, to realize its full dignity as best as possible. And they designed a system that was both had elements of permanence, elements of stability, but was also changeable at the same time, was also meant to adjust and flex to the circumstances, the material circumstances changing over time. And so I think they would look out and say, it's working. It's providing this prosperous situation that is better than that's better than tyranny, or it's a tyranny that can be restrained or attacked or reformed. There's mechanisms to restrain tyranny. And so stay wedded to those principles of the Declaration, stay wedded to the constitutional system that we gave you, and things are going to be okay. But we weren't aiming for perfection. It's not the French Revolution. It's not this year zero idea of we're starting everything afresh and we're going to achieve perfection. There was never any conceit like that.
What do you think?
I was just thinking that absolutely on one of those flights, I am showing the footage of the Buffalo Shaman on J6. And at that point, I'm going to be curious as to whether they hang their head or whether, like, Hamilton is like, hell yeah, brother. Right? Like, I don't know. And then as we're saying our goodbyes, I'm going to be hugging Adams probably. And I'm going to say, I'm going to whisper in his ear, parting is also, depending on who you ask, we went to the moon. And that ends our episode of our 250th celebration of America.
God bless America.
God bless
God
America.
bless
and,
America.
we didn't even address the orange elephant in the room. We didn't even talk about.
We didn't even say the word.
How they would view him.
That's right. We
It's
got
just
through
our
without
current
it.
chapter.
Take care.